Good morning, Bible scholars. That's you. You clicked on this video. You are a Bible scholar, and it's awesome to have you on my channel. Welcome. I'm your mom of 3 in NYC, and we're back with another video. I'm on an adventure to read through the Bible in 2023. I never have before, and I would love to have you along with me on this journey. So far, we have read Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. We are now on to Joshua, the book of Joshua. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. All right. If you are joining me for the first time, please make sure that you subscribe to my channel by hitting that button below. You will then you will be a member of Tenaza's tribe. That's what I call my YouTube family. All right, let's jump into it. I will be reading from the NIV version, but whatever translation of the Bible you have is completely fine. Stick with it. And if you do not have a Bible, don't worry. I'm going to be putting every single verse that I read on the screen for you guys. All right. And you guys, so usually up until now, we've been doing 5 chapters a review, and I do my reviews 3 days a week. I upload Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Today is the 27th. Usually I do 5 chapters a review. This is so meaty, guys. I was in the Word for over an hour this morning. It is so meaty and so juicy. We're going to go do 4 chapters a review because I don't want to overwhelm you guys, and I want you guys to stay encouraged. So for the book of Joshua, for now, we will be doing 4 chapters a review. All right. The book of Joshua, it is a story of conquest and fulfillment for the people of God. Conquest and fulfillment for the people of God. Let's dig right in. Notes on deck. Chapter 1. The Lord commands Joshua that Moses has died. He and the Israelites are to get ready to cross the Jordan River into the land he is going to give them. I wanted to read for you verse 3. I will give you every place where you set your foot, as I promised Moses. Again, the faithfulness of God. God sticks to his word. I wanted to mention really quickly that 3 times in the very first half of this first chapter, it says to be strong and courageous. And I wanted to read for you verse 8. If you're new to my reviews, this Bible was gifted to me in 2006 from my then boyfriend, now husband. And so I like to read whatever verses have been underlined. So I wanted to read for you guys verse 8 that has been underlined. Do not let this book of the law depart from your mouth. Meditate on it day and night so that you may be careful to do everything written in it. Then you will be prosperous and successful. What an amazing promise. So Joshua ordered the officers to go through the camp and tell the Israelites that in 3 days they're going to cross the Jordan. Get their supplies ready. There is an exception in verse 12. But to the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half tribe of Manasseh, Joshua said, verse 13, they are being granted the land they are in. God is giving them rest. They are allowed to stay in the land east of the Jordan, along with their wives, their children, and their livestock. They are still, though, to help their brothers until they have taken possession of the land that God is going to give them. Chapter 1 ends with the 4th time of a declaration of being courageous. Remember I mentioned that the first half of chapter 1, it said 3 times to be courageous, but the chapter ends, the very last verse, with being courageous. Verse 18, whoever rebels against your word and does not obey your words, whatever you may command them will be put to death. Only be strong and courageous. All right, chapter 2, Rahab and the spies. Let's go ahead and start off with the very first verse. Joshua, son of Nun, secretly sent 2 spies from Shittim. Go, look over the land, he said, especially Jericho. So they went and entered the house of a prostitute named Rahab and stayed there. And in my footnotes, it says an innkeeper. So whenever I've heard this verse like preached, it's always been prostitute. But the notes in this NIV version say that another word for it could be innkeeper, which are very different. All right, so someone told the king that some Israelites have come to spy out the land. The king sent a message to Rahab. I wanted to read verse 3. It said, the king of Jericho sent this message to Rahab: bring out the men who came to you, who entered your house, because they have come to spy out the whole land. Rahab hid the Israelite men. She said, yes, they had come to her, but she didn't know where they had come from. And at dusk, the men left. She doesn't know which way they went. Verse 6, in quotations, but she had taken them up to the roof and hidden them under the stalks of flax she had laid out on the roof. So the king's men left in pursuit of the spies. Before the spies went to sleep, I wanted to read for you both verses 9 and 10. Rahab said to them, I know that the Lord has given this land to you, and that a great fear of you has fallen on us, so that all who live in this country are melting in fear because of you. Verse 10, we have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea for you when you came out of Egypt, and what you did to Sihon and Og, the 2 kings of the Amorites, east of the Jordan, whom you completely destroyed. Rahab asks that since she has shown kindness to them, the 2 Israelite spies, they in turn will spare the lives of her family, her father, her mother, her brothers, sisters, and all those who belong to them. So I read that and I thought their children, probably their servants. Verse 14, our lives for your lives, the men assured her. If you don't tell what we are doing, we will treat you kindly and faithfully when the Lord gives us the land. I love the confidence. Like, I'm here for that. That's what I'm here for, is that confidence that they had that what God said is going to be true. I love it. I love it. I want that. I want that kind of confidence. So Rahab lets the Israelites down by a rope through the window. Her house was part of the city wall. She instructs the Israelites to go hide in the hills for 3 days and then go on their way. The Israelites tell Rahab that the promise they have made to her to save her family will not be binding unless she does 2 things. She ties that very same scarlet cord they used to escape on her window. 2, she brings her entire family, mother, father, brothers, into her house. Because verse 19, anyone goes outside your house into the street, his blood will be on his own head. We will not be responsible. As for anyone who is in the house with you, his blood will be on our head if a hand is laid on him. Rahab agrees. The spies do what Rahab has instructed. They go to the hills. They stay there for 3 days. Then they return to Joshua. Chapter 2 ends with verse 24. They said to Joshua, the Lord has surely given the whole land into our hands. All the people are melting in fear because of us. Woo! I'm loving it, guys. I'm loving the story. Loving it. Chapter 3, crossing the Jordan early in the morning. And it's so funny because I did this. I got up at 6 this morning to do my Bible study, to record this because I have treatment today. And so early, it gave me encouragement. Early in the morning, the Israelites went to the Jordan. They camped before crossing over. The officers gave orders to the people that after 3 days, I wanted to read for you guys verses 3 and 4. The officers gave orders to the people, when you see the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord your God and the priests who are Levites carrying it, you are to move out from your positions and follow it, in verse 4. Then you will know which way to go, since you have never been this way before. But keep a distance of about 1,000 yards between you and the ark. Do not go near it. Joshua tells the Israelites to consecrate themselves, because tomorrow the Lord will do amazing things among them. Joshua tells the priests to take that Ark of the Covenant to pass on ahead of the people. The Lord assures Joshua in verse 7 of chapter 3. The Lord says to Joshua, today I will begin to exalt you in the eyes of all Israel, so they may know that I am with you as I was with Moses. What an amazing confirmation. Joshua tells the Israelites, choose 12 men, one from each of the tribes of Israel. Verse 13. And as soon as the priests who carry the ark of the Lord of all the earth, set foot in the Jordan, its waters flowing downstream will be cut off and stand up in a heap. Even though the Jordan was at the flood stage, as soon as the priests carried the ark to the edge of the Jordan, verse 16 and 17 ends chapter 3, and I had to read it out loud. The water from upstream stopped flowing. It piled up in a heap a great distance away at a town called Adam in the vicinity of Zarethan, while the water flowing down to the Sea of the Arabah, the Salt Sea, and my footnotes it says that's the Dead Sea, was completely cut off. So the people crossed over opposite Jericho. In verse 17, the priests who carried the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord stood firm on dry ground in the middle of the Jordan, while all Israel passed by until the whole nation had completed the crossing on dry ground. You guys, I didn't know about this. I did not know that he did for the River Jordan what he did bringing them out of Egypt. I had no idea. Chapter 4. When all the Israelites had crossed the Jordan, the Lord told Joshua to choose 12 men, one from each tribe. Tell them to take 12 stones from the middle of the Jordan. Verse 3, tell them to take up 12 stones from the middle of the Jordan from right where the priest stood, to carry them over with you and put them down at a place where you stay tonight. Joshua calls the 12 men that he appoints. He calls them all together. He instructs them and tells them why. Verse 6 and verse 7. Verse 6, to serve as a sign among you in the future when your children ask you, what do these stones mean? Verse 7, tell them that the flow of the Jordan was cut off before the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord. When it crossed the Jordan, the waters of the Jordan were cut off. These stones are to be a memorial to the people of Israel forever. The Israelites did just that. They took 12 stones from the middle of the Jordan. They took them to their camp. Verse 9, Joshua set up the 12 stones that had been in the middle of the Jordan at the spot where the priests who carried the Ark of the Covenant had stood. They are there to this day. Verse 10, now the priests who carried the ark remained standing in the middle of the Jordan until everything the Lord had commanded Joshua was done by the people, just as Moses had directed Joshua. The people hurried over. The Lord exalted Joshua in front of all the Israelites, and they revered him. The Lord tells Joshua to command the priests carrying the Ark of the Covenant to come up out of the Jordan. I wanted to read for you guys verse 18. The priests came up out of the river carrying the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord. No sooner had they set their feet on the dry ground than the waters of the Jordan returned to their place and ran at flood stage as before. A complete miracle. A complete miracle. God literally held the waters back during a flood stage. And I wanted to actually read for you guys the last 4 verses of the chapter, 21, 22, 23, and 24. In verse 21, he said to the Israelites, in the future, when your descendants ask their fathers, what do these stones mean? Verse 22, tell them, Israel crossed the Jordan on dry ground. Verse 23, for the Lord your God dried up the Jordan before you until you had crossed over. The Lord your God did to the Jordan just what he had done to the Red Sea, when he dried it up before us until we had crossed over. He did this so that all the people of the earth might know that the hand of the Lord is powerful, and so that you might always fear the Lord your God. And it's just amazing how that connects back to the beginning of the chapter 2, where Rahab mentions that miracle, how amazing God is that he performed that same miracle with them crossing over the Jordan that he did, bringing them out of Egypt through the Red Sea. And Rahab mentions that in chapter 2, that that's what they're known for. All right, Bible scholars, that concludes the review of chapters 1, 2, 3, 4 in Joshua. Our review on Wednesday will be of 5, 6, 7, and 8. As always, any questions, any comments, any revelations, please drop them in the comments below. Have a marvelous Monday, and I will look forward to seeing you in our next video. Bye, Bible scholars.